So I mentioned in a previous video when going through the options and actually doing some of the flying that there was a problem with some of the controls. There's two parts to it. So one is the rudder controls on the controller, where I figured out what was going on and it was kind of staring me right in the face. If I come down here, you can see that on the ailerons and as well as on the camera for the right stick, you have an analog thing that will go back and forth. Unfortunately, it also controls the upper menu. So that registers the movement of the stick. Unfortunately, there's also a bit of an issue where you have a wiggle between the stick just kind of free floating in its area, which sometimes registers. But that's what it should be for the triggers. However, when you come down here to the trigger, I'm holding the trigger right now at 50%, 75, 75. So 75% is when it finally actuates enough to trigger it as a button press, which is why it's 100% or nothing. And I called that out. No matter how little I pulled it, it wouldn't take. What was happening was it was flickering because it was closing the circuit enough for it to register an input, but it wasn't enough for a solid press. And then you get far enough for the solid press and the rudder goes 100% and stays there. This is a flaw in the game, and I've submitted a support ticket to see when they're going to get this fixed, because there is no way that I can use this properly. I thought about remapping it to the right stick, but the right stick is my camera view, and I actually use that quite a bit here to be able to look around my plane on the outside and enjoy what's going on. So flying is going to be extremely difficult without a rudder. It's doable. I've played enough flying games and I'm good enough at it that I know what I'm doing to pull it off, but it's really, really annoying. The next part is here on the controller under sensitivity. So I called out that the plane was all over the place and jittering, and that's because I hadn't come in here to this sensitivity. It didn't really stand out up there until I paid more attention to it and I could figure out and see it. But you can see right here on that right RSY on the far right, there's no actual movement or resistance. This is just the loose play in the button itself. So I can get it to go that far without any input from me. So basically that's the dead zone that I need to compensate for, because that way the button free floating in there won't actually trigger anything until I get to there, and then when I release it'll go back. On the other side, looks like that's as far as I can go with it, so we'll set my dead zone to 12 and be covered. On the left stick, you can see I kind of already went through that to a degree, taking it as far as I can. The up and down one's not too bad, but essentially you don't want any free floating dead zone left in the stick. You want it to be very open. So that's as far as I can take it unless I do throttle up. See, it has a bit of a dead return where it sticks. If I take it higher, it comes down. If I take it a little bit, you can see it kind of gets stuck there. So I'll still be angling the plane up. But if I go all the way and release it, it will flip back to there. So that's why I had this one up at I think it was 16 to match the other one, but I don't think that's quite enough. But anyway, that's good enough for now. And you can see on the return for the other side it was done. So those are two things that are currently a problem for controller users. I do have a joystick. It's an Ultra Satek Cyborg 3D. It's a really decent joystick for kind of the more budget end of things. I think it was a $60 joystick. I bought it, 14 to 16 years ago. I've used it quite a bit in Flight Simulator 2000, a little bit in FSX, and that's kind of where I stopped using it. I played it with it for other games, but in flying the casual way, I like to kick back in my chair, just get immersed in it, and leaning back comfortably with the controller resting in my lap on the armrests, whatever it is, there's no fatigue. it's just completely relaxing. You just sit there, kick back, relax, and enjoy a flight. And for most of what you're doing, you can access the critical commands right there on your controller, which is why I prefer that as my flight method. Rudder being totally toast right now is really kind of depressing and not cool, but I'm sure they'll get it fixed. They've got a number of other problems that I know they're working on from other posts and forum threads and things like that, and I know this is one of them. I've seen a couple other people bringing this up, so hopefully I get some feedback from them on my support ticket before the weekend, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. It's already Friday morning at 12:01 my time central. But I just wanted to bring that up as well and share that it's on the way. Well, I don't have confirmation it's on the way, but I would be very surprised if it wasn't on the way. I just hope they get a support patch out pretty soon. Anyway, wanted to share that. Be sure you set your sensitivity. You can have multiple profiles in here, though I can't quite figure out how to go in there and actually set more than the one profile, which was originally -10. We'll figure it out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.